there, I'm Azaria Tagaya. You're watching Nightline. Here are the top stories. Middle East conflict. Iran warns Israel, the US of severe response in case of retaliation. And police monitoring border to prevent KLIA shooting suspect leaving the country. Good morning. Iran on Sunday warned Israel of a larger attack on its territory should it retaliate against Tehran's overnight drone and missile attacks. Commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Hossein Salami, said that any military action by Israel on Iranian interests, property or citizens would be met with an appropriate response.
که من بعد رژیم صهیونیستی در هر نقطه‌ای به منافع ما، به دارایی‌های ما، به شخصیت‌های ما و به شهروندان ما حمله کند، ما از مبدأ جمهوری اسلامی ایران او را مورد تهاجم متقابل قرار خواهیم داد. ده‌ها فروند پهپاد و کروز و موشک‌های بالستیک در فواصل زمانی مناسب اینها تونستند این لایه‌های عمیق دفاع هوایی به ظاهر اطمینان بخش رژیم صهیونیستی رو در هم بشکنند و ائتلاف پدافند هوایی بین آمریکا، فرانسه و رژیم صهیونیستی رو تحت تأثیر قرار بدن و اون رو کم کارآمد کنند.
An Iranian military chief major general in the meantime said that although they consider the operation complete, Washington has been warned that any backing of Israeli attacks would result in U.S. regional bases being targeted. The threat of open warfare erupting between the arch Middle East foes and dragging in the U.S. has put the region on edge, as Washington said the U.S. did not seek conflict with Iran, but would not hesitate to protect its forces and Israel. Iran launched hundreds of drones and missiles against Israel in an unprecedented attack that came as a response to an Israeli raid on the Iranian consulate in Syria 2 weeks ago. According to the Zionist military, the Iranian salvo consisted of more than 300 killer drones, ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. It, however, said the attack, mostly launched from inside Iran, caused only modest damage in Israel, as 99% of them were intercepted with the help of forces from France, the United Kingdom and the US. There have been no reports of injuries suffered directly through the Iranian strikes. The attacks mark the first time Iran has targeted Israel directly from its own soil. Meanwhile, Israel's war cabinet held an urgent meeting on Sunday afternoon to debate whether to retaliate against Iran. Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz said the clash with Iran is not over and that Israel must strengthen the strategic alliance and regional cooperation system. He added that Israel will also build a regional coalition in the face of the Iranian threat. Earlier, some members of the war cabinet had proposed an immediate retaliatory strike, but this was called off due to pressure from U.S. President Joe Biden. Meanwhile, Iran's attack on Israel aroused mixed reactions from world leaders and the United Nations. The UK, Canada, France, Spain, Argentina, the Netherlands, Denmark, Mexico and Norway were among the nations that condemned Saturday night's attack. Egypt's foreign ministry, meanwhile, said it would be in direct contact with all parties to the conflict to try and contain the situation, while Qatar issued a statement expressing the Gulf states' deep concern about the regional developments. In the meantime, Italy, which holds the rotating presidency of the G7, is currently hosting a video conference of G7 leaders to address the attack. This came after Biden has pledged a coordinated G7 diplomatic response to the drone and missile attack, which he condemned. Back on the home front, the government is closely monitoring the evolving global geopolitical developments and the position of financial markets following the current situation in the Middle East. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim said this includes the potential economic impact on Malaysia resulting from the conflict. Anwar pointed out that the government will also take appropriate action to promote continued financial stability and orderly functioning of markets while guarding against any potential economic fallout that could affect Malaysians. He said this in a statement on Sunday evening following his earlier meeting with Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Sabu, along with senior government officials to discuss the current situation in the Middle East region. Anwar stressed that all parties in the Middle East conflict must call for an immediate immediate end to hostilities and play their roles to ensure the tensions do not escalate further. He also reminded all parties that they must work on achieving a resolution to put an end to the conflict in the region. Now, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadillah Yusof has called on Wisma Putra to monitor the safety of Malaysians in high-risk countries following Iran's retaliatory attack on Israel. This includes evacuating Malaysians from Iran if necessary.
Penting ialah untuk Wisma Putra memantau keadaan rakyat kita di mana sejak ada, termasuk di Iran dan negeri-negeri berdekatan, supaya kita memahami perkembangan dan kalau perlu untuk kita mengambil tindakan untuk membawa keluar rakyat kita daripada mana-mana tempat yang boleh berlaku risiko peperangan.
He also advised Malaysians to refrain from travelling to high-risk areas, be it Iran or any nearby countries. Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan, in the meantime, said Malaysia strongly demands all parties in the Middle East region to refrain and exercise great caution not to escalate the already tense situation. The Foreign Minister also urged the parties concerned to de-escalate and create the necessary environment to end the conflict immediately. In a statement on Sunday, Muhammad said Malaysia reiterates that the main objective is to find peace and a permanent solution to the plight of the Palestinian people and not widen the conflict. He added that any further form of provocation or retaliation could ignite a devastating region-wide conflict that would not benefit either the region or the Palestinian cause. He also reminded the international community not to lose sight of the objective of ensuring the freedom of the Palestinians and their rights to their own lands. Any diversion from this objective plays into Israel's desire to redirect global attention away from their nefarious, inhumane and unconscionable acts in Palestine. Muhammad stated that Malaysia further echoes the call by the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres for an immediate cessation of these hostilities. Any form of attack, offensive or defensive, will ultimately lead to the death of many more innocent lives. Meanwhile, Wisma Putra warned Malaysians in the Middle East of potential flight cancellations due to tensions between Iran and Israel and the closing of airspace in the region. In a brief statement on Sunday, it said several countries, including Iran, Jordan, Lebanon and Iraq, have closed their airspace. The statement also read that Malaysians in the area should anticipate potential disruptions to flight schedules and are advised to adjust their travel plans accordingly. The Foreign Ministry added that the safety of Malaysians residing in these four countries would remain a priority, and they are urged to contact the nearest Malaysian embassy or consulate in Tehran in Iran, Amman in Jordan, Beirut in Lebanon and in Baghdad in case of an emergency or if they require assistance while abroad. It also advised Malaysians affected by the conflict to keep themselves updated with the latest announcements and to follow instructions from local authorities at all times. Police have distributed the photographs of the suspect involved in the shooting incident at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA Terminal 1 early Sunday morning to all entry points in the north of the peninsula, as well as to the authorities of a neighbouring country. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said instructions were issued the moment police identified the suspect involved in the incident, which resulted in a man suffering serious injuries. According to Razaruddin, police were looking for 38-year-old Hafizul Harawi to assist in the investigations. Authorities believe that the suspect is still in Malaysia and efforts to track him down are being intensified. Razaruddin added that police have also tightened controls at rat lanes at the country's borders to prevent the suspect from fleeing to a neighbouring country. The top cop also confirmed that the firearm used by the suspect was believed to be a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, which had been obtained illegally. Based on initial investigations, 3 bullet casings were retrieved at the scene of the incident, with one of them having failed to fire. In the incident, which occurred at about 1:30 a.m, the suspect fired 2 shots at his wife, who was also his business partner, at the entrance of the airport's arrival hall, but missed, with one of the shots hitting her bodyguard. The suspect then fled the scene. A manhunt for the suspect, who is believed to have fled north, has been launched by the police. The authorities have ruled out any links to terrorist activities or groups, saying that the incident was due to a personal dispute. Meanwhile, security measures at the KLIA Terminal 1 will be reviewed following the shooting incident. Bukit Aman Criminal Investigation Department Director Datuk Seri Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said police viewed the matter seriously as it occurred at the country's entry point, and it was not the first time such an incident happened. Therefore, existing security measures will be beefed up thoroughly. Speaking at a press conference, Shuhaili assured that travellers should not be worried about safety at the airport following the incident, as the motive was related to a personal vendetta and not a random attack. He added that the suspect had 3 prior criminal records, 2 for intimidation and 1 for theft and impersonating a civil servant. The suspect had also been previously arrested for threatening his wife after the woman lodged a police report in December last year.
Dan hasil daripada laporan tersebut, suspek telah pun ditangkap oleh pihak polis. Dan kami telah menghantar kertas siasatan, namun ada beberapa arahan lain yang kita perlu laksanakan. Dan saya rasa mengambil daripada insiden yang terakhir itulah isteri mengambil keputusan untuk mengajikan pengawal peribadi dia.
On the injured bodyguard, Shuhaili said the victim is currently in critical condition at a hospital and has been put into an induced coma. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for attempted murder and the Arms Act for possession of firearms. The Madani government has never sidelined the Indian community, and various programs have been designed to assist the community. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, every program implemented was universal and encompasses all races in the country in line with the Malaysia Madani aspirations. Citing as an example efforts to eradicate hardcore poverty, Anwar said this had almost been completely done regardless of race in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Malacca and Pulau Pinang.
Saya tidak pernah bertolak ansur. Apa isu? Apa keutamaan saya? Saya tak peduli sama ada toke India, toke Cina, toke Melayu berjaya juga. Saya peduli tentang majoriti di bawah. Sebab itu saya kata yang pertama noktahkan kemiskinan.
Anwar also said Malaysian Indians were integral to the country and that as Prime Minister, the community has his special attention and that of the Prime Minister's office. He added that there was no place in today's Malaysia for discrimination of any race, as achieving greater equality must be a central goal for all Malaysians. He said this in his opening speech at the 5th International Convention and celebration of Indian statesman Dr. Ambedkar's 133rd birthday and Aidil Fitri celebration at the Ideal Convention Centre in Shah Alam on Sunday. The 2-day convention, which began on Sunday, was attended by about 1,500 participants, including 250 foreign delegates. Still to come, at least 19 killed after landslides hit Sulawesi.
Dapatkan arah kiblat, doa harian dan Al-Quran secara digital di aplikasi Waktu Salat Malaysia, kini berwajah baru.
Kalau dulu memang hanya untuk bulan Ramadan, bulan puasa sahaja. Buat kuih dodo kukus dengan badak berendang dan juga kuih pena. Tak sangka kuih tu kegemaran ramai.
Orang dulu ni dia pergi ngaji dulu. Dia sampai dulu dia tak ada lampu pecek apa semua sekali. Macam buah kabur ni dulu ni. Pergi bawa anak-anak pergi ngaji Quran.
Stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. The Zionist regime kept up its military strikes on the besieged Gaza Strip, killing 43 Palestinians and wounding 62 others in the past 24 hours. In the latest incident, a Palestinian woman was killed while 23 others were wounded when Zionist forces opened fire on dozens of people who tried to cross back into northern Gaza areas from the south. It was also reported that at least 19 more Palestinians were killed and more than 200 wounded in 6 major Israeli attacks. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli settlers continued attacks on Palestinians and their homes, wounding at least 50 people. According to Gaza's health ministry, at least 33,729 Palestinians have been killed and 76,371 wounded since the Zionist regime launched its attacks on Gaza. In the meantime, the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas has rejected an Israeli ceasefire proposal on Saturday, saying it had handed to mediators in Egypt and Qatar its response to the proposal it had received last Monday. The rejection came with a firm reiteration of Hamas's conditions for a ceasefire, which includes a complete Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza, the return of displaced residents, increased aid, and the start of reconstruction efforts. In contrast, Israel's primary aim remains the secure return of hostages taken by Hamas during its October 7th attack. The deadlock continues as Hamas expressed readiness to engage in a prisoner hostage swap, proposing the release of 133 hostages in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held in Israel. In Indonesia, at least 19 people were killed and 2 others were still missing after landslides hit Sulawesi Island on Sunday. According to the country's disaster agency, the dead and 2 survivors were evacuated from the landslides that hit Tanah Toraja, South Sulawesi province. Search and rescue efforts for the missing residents were underway, and it was reported that the 2 individuals were presumably buried under the landslide debris. However, emergency response efforts have been complicated by poor weather conditions and damage to roads into the affected areas, making it difficult to evacuate victims. The landslides, triggered by high-intensity rains for the past week, affected 2 villages in the region and destroyed 4 homes. Last month, floods and landslides killed at least 26 people on Indonesia's Sumatra Island, with torrential rains destroying hundreds of homes and displacing thousands. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi promised on Sunday to create jobs, boost infrastructure and expand welfare programs if Bharatiya Janata Party BJP wins a 3rd term, seeking to address key voter concerns ahead of the country's general elections next week. 73-year-old Modi is widely tipped to win a record-equaling 3rd term on the back of his 10-year record, which includes strong economic growth, infrastructure projects, welfare handouts and aggressive Hindu nationalism. Surveys, however, suggest unemployment, inflation and rural distress remain issues of concern in the world's most populous country, despite its strong economy, and addressing these will be Modi's biggest challenge. The general election, which begins on April 19th, will be held in 7 stages until June 1st. Votes are due to be counted on June 4th, and the results are expected on the same day. Faye Izzuddin's title dream dashed in the final. Sports after this breather.
Awak lepas ni balik kampung saya ni?
Boleh je. Tapi kita kena tengok dulu cerita-cerita yang menarik Raya ke-6 ini.
Aku ni bukan ubat untuk penyakit yang ada dalam rumah tangga kau sekarang ni.
I wife dia kan? Dia lupa I pun isteri dia.
Kai kena ceraikan Syah. Diorang tak boleh bersama.
Saksikan di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Okey. Rumah dah siap kemas.
Sekarang, bolehlah fokus tengok program menarik di Raya ke-7.
Alhamdulillah. Ibu setuju nak seminang.
Kau yang paksa aku.
Robok abang macam tu. Puas ke tipu? Puas ke tipu? Ini yang ibu nak kan? Ini yang ibu nak kan?
Saksikan di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports. The 2024 Badminton Asia Championships, national men's doubles shuttlers Goh Zifei and Nur Izzuddin Muhammad Rumsani had to settle for silver after losing to China's Liang Weikeng Wang Chang in the final on Sunday. The world number 29 pair fought gallantly but succumbed to a 17-21, 21-15, 10-21 defeat to the world number 3 in a nearly 1-hour battle. Despite the defeat, Thomas Cup-bound Zifei and Nur Izzuddin can still hold their heads high after reaching their biggest ever tournament final. It was the third consecutive silver medal for the country in the men's doubles in the competition after Aaron Chia, So Woo Yik and independent pair Ong Yu Sin, Teo Yi Yi also came second best in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Chung Tan Phuc and Lee Wan Wah remained the last Malaysian men's pair to win the Asian crown back in 2007. Tennis, the 2024 Monte Carlo Masters, Stefanos Tsitsipas capped another standout performance after dispatching Casper Ruud in the final on Sunday to win his third title in 4 years. The world number 12 produced his best display of the season, outclassing the 8th seed 6-1, 6-4 in just 97 minutes. With the win, the Greek became the 5th player to win 3 or more Monte Carlo titles, joining Rafael Nadal, Bjorn Borg, Thomas Muster and Ilia Nastasim. The 25-year-old will climb to world number 6 in the PIX ATP rankings on Monday, his highest position since September 2023. Football now, the German Bundesliga. Bayern Munich kept the title race alive for another day at least with a 2-0 win over Cologne on Saturday. Thomas Tuchel's men were given an early scare when Sardis Adamian's close-range header was well saved by Sven Ulreich. The Bavarians finally broke the deadlock 20 minutes into the second half when Rafael Guerrero fired in a beautiful curler into the far corner. Thanks to Cologne's defensive mistakes just outside the box, Thomas Müller then sealed a 2-0 victory deep in stoppage time. With league leaders Bayer Leverkusen 13 points ahead and poised to wrap up their first league title with a win over Werder Bremen on Sunday, Bayern's only hope of silverware this season rests with the Champions League following their 2-2 draw with Arsenal in the first leg in London. In another match, Marcel Sabitzer scored a brace as Borussia Dortmund defeated Borussia Mönchengladbach 2-1, continuing its charge for a top-4 finish. Sabitzer opened the scoring in the 22nd minute with a fine angled drive past goalkeeper Jonas Omlin. The Austrian then doubled Dortmund's lead from the spot 6 minutes later after Nico Schlotterbeck had been fouled by Mönchengladbach's Nathan Numu. Maximilian Wöber pulled one back for the hosts just before the interval with a strong header, but the visitors held on to secure a crucial 2-1 win despite being reduced to 10 men in the 55th minute. With the win, Dortmund remain 5th in the standings and level on points with 4th place Leipzig at 56 points. Up next, Air Itham Dam water capacity at critical level. Stay with us.
Jangkau kita terjun bawah ni, siapa suruh bijak sangat.
Sorok dalam semak, takut ditahan polis.
Kau angkat je motor kau. Kau angkat.
Tiada lesen tapi masih nak merempit.
Lesen pun tak ada kan? Lesen tak ada bang.
Berani buat, berani tanggung lah.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Wanita hari ini. Rayakan sebulan. Terus raikan kemeriahan Aidilfitri di Wanita Hari Ini. Nak buat rumah terbuka tapi pening nak jamu menu apa? Kami kongsikan idea dan inspirasi untuk rumah terbuka. Awak, sekarang ni susah betul kita nak percayakan orang Kena siasat dulu sebelum percaya sesiapa tau. Aduh, kenapa dah ada rasa sempit awak ada asma ke? Jangan ambil mudah. Dalam rumah tangga perlu ada kerjasama antara pasangan. Buatlah hidup harmoni. Semuanya di Wanita Hari Ini TV3 dan stream di Tonton. Wanita Hari Ini.
Thanks for staying with us on Nightline. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim took to the skies via helicopter to inspect Mersing district in Johor on Sunday. The Sikorsky helicopter ferrying the Yang di-Pertuan Agong departed from the Istana Bukit Serene helipad at around 9:30 a.m. and later landed at Istana Flintstones. According to a post on Sultan Ibrahim's official Facebook page on Sunday, during the almost 40-minute flight, the King inspected the Mersing coastline, Kem Iskandar, Istana Flintstone as well as its lighthouse. Sultan Ibrahim also said that Mersing is a tourism district which is often the focus of domestic and foreign tourists and is blessed with natural beauty. The district is also rich in its flora and fauna and boasts many islands that attract tourists. The King also reminded resort owners and villagers about maintaining the island's cleanliness. Sultan Ibrahim also inspected Kem Iskandar's boat facility as well as the camp's combat training diving pool, which is not fully completed. Water capacity at the Air Itam Dam has reached stage 3 of the critical level with a reading of 30.8% on Sunday. This means the water there can last 30 more days if there is still no rain. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow said that so far this month, the dam has only received 22.5 millimetres of rainfall compared to an expected 300 millimetres a month.
Ada laporan menyatakan walaupun ada hujan, tetapi paras air masih tidak tambahlah. Sebab kita perlu tahu air yang turun itu perlu turun di dalam kawasan tadahan air. Kalau air lebat turun di jalan residensi sehingga banjir, ia tidak akan membantu empangan air hitam.
He was speaking to reporters after attending the Bukit Bendera Parliamentary Constituency Hari Raya Aidilfitri Carnival. He said the state government has instructed the Penang Water Supply Corporation (PBAPP) to continue implementing the Air Itam Dam Action Plan 2024, which involves 4 measures, including minimizing the release of raw water from the Air Itam Dam to the Air Itam Water Treatment Plant from 75 million litres per day to 11 million litres per day to maintain an effective capacity at the Air Itam Dam. Asked about cloud seeding, he said the state government does not plan to implement the initiative since it has been raining for the past few weeks in Pulau Pinang. Well, that's it for Nightline. As we wrap, let's take a look as regions in southwest China's Yunnan province celebrate one of the biggest and most important festivals of the year, known as the Water Splashing Festival. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching and have a great week ahead.